to be safe and secure with their families. So I thank you, and I yield back my time, and I thank you graciously, Mr. Chairman, for your time.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Gus, you are recognized for 5 minutes for your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Admiral, I want to talk a little bit about the High North. I know you mentioned that in your testimony. You say on the page 3 of your testimony that the service's top surface acquisition priority remains the polar security cutters and expanding the icebreaking fleet to meet the President's direction. And you said that we shall continue to invest in heavy polar icebreaking is vital to counter foreign malign influence and protect America's sovereign interest in the polar regions. I know that currently we are at a very strategic disadvantage when it comes to other nations. I think currently we have one heavy icebreaker, the Polar Star, which is approximately 50 years in service, and then we have the Healy, which is a polar-capable icebreaker. So 2 icebreakers compared to the 50-plus that Russia currently has. We know that the High North has become very strategic and will continue to be so. And I know that there is underway the process of building the first icebreaker, I think, in 50 years here domestically, and proud that the Coast Guard is moving in that direction. But want to just see if you can talk a little bit about the importance of sustained funding for the Polar Security Cutter program.
Congressman, the Polar Security Cutter program is our top acquisition priority. We're excited about fulfilling the President's intent about building a fleet of icebreakers for the nation because of the Coast Guard operates those icebreakers. They operate to assure access to our polar regions, both the Arctic and Antarctica, and then also our domestic icebreaking fleet for the Great Lakes and inland waterways. The Polar Security Cutter is the first of the next generation of heavy icebreakers that we are building right now. And we're beginning to see substantial acceleration forward in momentum. The shipbuilder, Bollinger, Mississippi, we just received approval for them to begin full production on Polar Security Cutter number 1 on the 30th of April, just a few weeks ago. They've got over 95% 2D and functional design maturity that enables them to move forward with confidence. And they've already are constructing 10 of the prefabrication assembly units, which are the bottom center sections of that new icebreaker. These are complex vessels. They will provide the U.S. with the capability we need to assure and protect U.S. sovereignty in the polar regions.
And then want to shift gears a little bit and talk about the interdiction mission of the Coast Guard, particularly as it relates to the mission in the Gulf and the Pacific. As you referenced in your testimony, the President, when he was sworn in, immediately declared a state of emergency along the southwest border. He surged resources. We have seen the number of immigrants encountered drop dramatically along the southwest border, and we are seeing more and more individuals being pushed out from the land routes into sea routes, and we're also seeing more and more narcotics which are no longer being able to be brought into the country across what was an unsecured border. We're seeing more and more maritime operations. You mentioned your testimony in the first 4 months of FY25. We've seized more cocaine than we did on all of FY24. You talk about the 860 illegal aliens that have been interdicted trying to enter the country along our sea route. So talk a little bit about the importance of that mission as I believe we're going to see particularly drug cartels become more and more desperate to get their product into the United States. They're going to see more and more individuals that they're going to try to use the sea routes as a way to bring those narcotics in. And so talk a little bit about the importance of that mission, and then also if you have the resources that you need to maintain this heightened operational tempo that we've seen over the last 3 to 4 months.
Congressman, the operations we're doing across the southern border, we view the southern border along with the rest of DHS as a system. And so much like when you squeeze or tighten down on one part, the land border, for example, and the Coast Guard is operating on the Rio Grande River as part of that effort, we see elements of that flow or that vector try to make their way across other areas of the border. And so we're seeing an increase in activity off Southern California as we see increased smuggling attempts moving illegal migration and also drugs, trying to get those into not only San Diego, but further up the coast, up toward Los Angeles as well. And so the Coast Guard has increased our presence and operations, and along with the Customs and Border Protection, to make sure we can interdict and then deter those attempts. And so that requires not only an increased presence, but sustaining that presence over time and improving our capabilities, increased surveillance and sensors, so that we can cue our forces to be able to better interdict those smuggling attempts. You know, these attempts are dangerous, and we had one of these smuggling vessels flip over in the surf off of San Diego last week that resulted in the deaths of 3 people, including a minor. And so these efforts are critical to stop, not only protect our border, but save lives as well. And so we do need increased and sustained top-line funding to be able to generate and sustain the assets, ships, cutters, boats, and aircraft and sensors necessary to enable us to protect that maritime approach to the U.S. border off of California, off of Texas and the Gulf of America, and then off of Florida and the U.S. Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico.
Admiral, thank you for being here today, and thank you for your service. With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Gentleman from Arizona, Mr. Siscomani, you're recognized for 5 minutes for your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Admiral, for being here. Thank you for answering our questions and helping, shining a light